California is known for many things, and one of those things is the Chinese chicken salad. Invented by Sylvia Cheng Wu, also known as Madame Wu in the 60s, and then made popular by the original celebrity chef Wolfgang Puck. The Chinese chicken salad has become an obsession in California, especially among celebrities. But it's really not hard to see why. The salad is refreshing, it's light, it has incredible texture and crunch, and it has an Asian-inspired vinaigrette that has all those addictive umami flavors, and is so good you could just eat it with a spoon. And today, one of the hot spots in California to try it is Jones on 3rd. But you don't have to travel to California to taste the Chinese chicken salad. Today in the kitchen, we're making my version, so let's just jump right into it. Now I'm gonna use one chicken breast. This should give me 3 slices of chicken that I'm gonna bread and fry. That should be enough for about 2 people. So I'm gonna bring the chicken breast close to me towards the edge of the cutting board so I can get down and get nice flat slices. Making sure the breast is patted dry, get down to eye level with the breast, and using the thinnest knife you have, slowly and carefully start to shave thin slices of the breast. Depending on the size of the breast, you should get 3 to 4 slices. You know what the hell, I'm just gonna cook another breast just to have cutlets on hand. This breast's a bit larger than the first one, so we're able to get 4 slices out of it. If you struggle with this, you're gonna get better over time if you practice, so just keep at it. Next, we're gonna set up our 3-stage breading station. First bowl has all-purpose flour, maybe about 2 cups. Next bowl has eggs, about 1 egg per breast of chicken. Then the final bowl is just gonna be panko. Usually I use a blend of fine Italian seasoned breadcrumbs and panko, but for this, we're just sticking with panko. Hit each bowl with salt, get that well beaten. We want to make sure there's no stringy egg white in there, and then we're ready to bread the chicken. And this is nothing new on this channel. First step's going to be to coat or dredge the chicken in the flour, and then we're going to dust the excess flour off. Then we're going to dip that into the egg, give it a flip, make sure every inch of the chicken is coated in that egg. I'm going to go ahead and just start loading up the flour again with chicken just to be a bit more efficient. Then lift the chicken out of the egg, allow the excess to drain, and then get that into the panko. Now, since we don't have the fine crumb of the Italian seasoned breadcrumbs, you're going to spend a little extra minute or 2 in showing the chicken some love, ensuring the chicken is fully coated in the panko. So I like to press the panko into the chicken, sprinkle excess over the top, flip it, press those crumbs into the chicken, sprinkle a little bit more, keep flipping it and repeating until you're sure there are no wet spots present on that chicken, as well as no pale spots without breading. That's how oil seeps into the chicken and it can become greasy on the inside as well as not crispy. Once they're fully coated, get them onto the plate, then go through and finish breading the rest of the cutlets. Part of why I love cutlets is one breast can turn into 4 cutlets. And I know it's still 1 breast, but 4 cutlets feels like a lot more than 1 breast. It just turns out to be a good way to stretch a chicken breast out to feed more people. So we've got our chicken breaded. Before we go and fry them, we're also gonna need some wonton or egg roll wraps. Take however many you like. This is about a little between half and a third of the pack. So we have all these little layers of sheets, and make sure they're not sticking. Cut it in half, stack them up, turn them, and then cut them into thick strips. You should have these nice strips of wontons that are gonna fry up, super crispy, super delicious. So then I'm just gonna need some slivered almonds, maybe 2 tablespoons, and then some sesame seed, maybe another 2 tablespoons of that. We're just gonna toast these guys up while we're over at the stove. So over at the stove, I'm gonna use my 3-quart saucier to fry. You could use a high rim saute pan or a pot, and then I'm gonna add enough oil to fill up about less than halfway of the pot. You never wanna fill the pot up any more than halfway. I'm gonna get that on the heat and preheat until that oil gets to a frying temperature of 350 degrees. And then I'm going to take my spider and fill it with some of the sliced wontons, and then gently place them in the oil to fry. If you're making more than this, cook them in batches, and they're gonna take about 4 minutes to cook depending on how many you add at once. But keep them moving, and they will start to transition from this light white color to a light golden brown color, and then I like to take it to this slightly darker color. Get them out of the oil as fast as you can, knowing that they're gonna continue to brown as they cool. Drain excess oil on a wire rack, hit them with salt, and then get them into a bowl. Now for the chicken, we can get the oil back up to 350 degrees and then add 2 chicken cutlets at a time. We're gonna allow them to cook for about 4 to 5 minutes, flipping them a few times throughout the cooking process to make sure we have an even color developing and it's nice and crispy and golden brown. Once golden brown, season and cool on a wire rack and work through frying the rest of the cutlets. I gotta be honest, I don't love breading chicken cutlets, but when I'm standing over the oil frying them, pulling beautifully golden brown cutlets out of the oil, that mess and the effort suddenly all becomes worth it. Now once all the chicken is cooked, set the pan off to the side to allow that oil to cool, and then get a small pan on medium-high heat. And once hot, we're gonna add the almonds. Toss and stir for a few minutes until the almonds become fragrant and start to lightly brown. Then transfer those to a small bowl, return that pan back to the heat, add the sesame seeds, again stir and toss for a minute or two until those sesame seeds also become fragrant and slightly brown. Then transfer that to a small bowl, and now we're done with the stove. So all the cooking is done now, we just have to make the dressing and prepare the lettuce and stuff. First, the dressing. First up, generous 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. We're gonna roughly match the same amount with some agave, maybe a little less. Next up, I'm gonna go with a 1/2 tablespoon of sriracha, the juice of a mandarin or an orange, whatever you got. If you're gonna use an orange, use maybe 1/4 to 1/2 of it. 2 to 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, tablespoon of sesame oil, 1.5 tablespoons of rice vinegar. I like it acidic, so maybe a little bit more. A little salt and pepper. Then we're gonna take maybe 1/2 cup of oil and whisk it in, slowly streaming it in. I'm just feeling it out. I'm looking for the oil to thicken and emulsify it, but I also don't want to dilute all the flavors with oil. So there is a balance you're trying to achieve. I'm gonna make a few adjustments, adding a little bit more rice vinegar, mustard, and sesame oil, just to balance out the flavors. Now I added a little bit more vinegar and sesame oil. And I'm just trying to strike that balance of acidity and the sesame oil, which is like a core flavor in this dressing. You want to be able to taste everything, the balance, the sweet, the spicy, the acidic, the umami, and it's also thickened. You want to make sure it's emulsified. If it doesn't have some viscosity, add a little bit more mustard, it'll thicken it up. I believe the original recipe uses egg yolk, sort of makes it like a loose aioli that'll thicken it and help cling it to the lettuce leaves, but that requires a blender and a whole thing, so if you want to do that, you feel free to do that, but this is a beautiful dressing, it's going to work fine. I'm going to be using a mixture of things. Jones on Third, I believe, uses iceberg. I like the iceberg crunch and the texture that it gives. Wolfgang Puck, I believe, uses Napa cabbage and some radicchio. And you also have romaine, which is a great option. It's kind of got a more minerally flavor, where these two things sort of balance out the bitterness of radicchio. And then I have a carrot that I'm gonna shred. Now you can use one of these, a mixture of them, whatever you want, but this is just gonna provide some nice color and texture difference in the salad. First up, the romaine. You take off the outer leaves, cut off these rough ends. Now each lettuce I'm gonna cut into slices, but different thicknesses. The romaine, I'm gonna do the thickest. So just in some nice little ribbons like this, and then get them into a bowl. Then you wanna cut off about 1/4 of the iceberg. Take off some of these outer rough leaves. Now with the iceberg, I'm gonna go slightly thinner than I did with the romaine. You can go even thinner and shave it if you'd like. It's all up to you, really. And then for the radicchio, again with the outer leaves, you can remove them. And then I'm gonna take about half. The radicchio I'm gonna try and cut as thin as possible, so there's gonna be this ribbon of color throughout the salad. And then get that into the bowl, give it a light toss, and then onto the carrot. Then I've got this julienne vegetable peeler here. I'm just gonna work that on the carrot, cut it into nice strips. Now I'm just gonna cut the root end off. I'm gonna hold it at the skinny side of the carrot and then start shaving down towards the thick end to create these thin julienne strips. One last garnish, I'm gonna take some green onions, cut it in half, fold it over itself, and slice thinly. Folding it over just makes it a little bit shorter, easier to cut. And then once they're sliced thin, get them into an ice bath. Let them sit there for about 15 minutes. After a little bit of soaking, the green onions will curl up into themselves and it'll provide a nice little garnish right on top. Now we can throw it all together. First off, you want to season the lettuces, so hit it with a little salt. This salad should be enough for 2, so I'm gonna use 2 chicken cutlets. Just gonna slice them thin. You hear that crunch? There's nothing like crispy chicken in a salad. You wanna get that into a bowl, and then we're gonna take the crispy wontons. I'm gonna take a little bit and add them directly into the salad, even though we're gonna put some on top as well. Then we're gonna start to spoon in the dressing around the bowl, a little bit on top, get it all tossed in, make an assessment. Does it need more dressing? If it needs more dressing, add a little bit more like I did. Get it all tossed up, and then we get ready to plate. And the way we plate a salad, sort of like how you pack a snowball, you kinda wanna get it into the palm of your hands, create a ball, get it nice and tight and bunched up, and maybe do 2 layers of that, and then we can start to finish the salad. Remember, you don't want a flat salad, you want a salad with height. Then a little bit more dressing on top. On top we can add a bunch of the crispy wontons, then we could sprinkle in some almonds, some of the sesame seeds, and then finally the garnish of the green onions. And there you have the Chinese chicken salad, a legend, an icon of California, and an undisputed salad champion. Every bite has crunch, but it's also bright, it's refreshing. And the vinaigrette, you can taste everything. The sesame oil, a little of that brightness from the vinegar. It's just so good if you love Asian flavors. The recipe's gonna be down in the description. That's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.